Hello there. My name is Envy McKee, and you know that because you're on my page. And I guess I should say, what's up, Star People? Hi, welcome to Star People Story Time. It is 11:11. Do you know where your Stellar Trilogy Book 3 is? I got it. So last night we read the prologue, and it was epic. And so what had happened was, in case you watched this at a later time and you didn't get a chance to see the other video, you should go back and see that because, you know, that's powerful stuff right there. It's a setup, as per all of my writings. So, the prologue, essentially, just to kind of recap, something deep happened, and Kai was at a TV station, and all hell broke loose because the show's host, Ben O'Malley, was a jackass. And so because she's got this new Stai power, she can shut down. And that's what happened. Shet got shut down. And so we step into chapter 1. I guess I should remind everybody that's watching this that the whole point of my doing this is to book 3 that I'm reading for Star People Storytime is being relaunched on August 21st. And I keep saying different dates because actually the launch is like the launch of all of my books has been June 19th, which is Juneteenth. So there's symbolism there. And so the reason why I'm relaunching on August 21st, and for whatever reason I keep Freudianly saying August 23rd, is because from August 21st to August 23rd, Nat Turner's Rebellion. So, you know, I'm peak blackness, like peak black power when I do these launches. So just know that there's a method to my madness. So if you've seen other videos, because throughout the month of August, in the morning at 11:11 a.m., I do a stop, drop, and meditate. And the whole concept behind that is that in book 3, one of the key concepts that Kai has to really nail down for herself is to rule herself. And so meditation was a big deal about that. So I'm every day at 11:11 for the most part through the month of August. It's all about the stop, drop, and meditate. And you know, it's a guided meditation. We meditate. It's cool. It's really cool. Safe fun for the whole family. And then at night at 11:11 p.m. we do a reading, if you will, that I'm calling Star People Storytime. So now you're up to date. You understand why I'm sitting here in my pajamas on a Wednesday evening when I could be salsa dancing, talking to you on Facebook Live when you have completely other things to do. And the good news about this is that this is a very convenient video that you can come back to later when you have time. So I'm a fan. So tonight we're going to be reading chapter 1 and potentially chapter 2. I have my tea, but my voice, you have to understand, I'm a voice artist. That is my actual profession that I'm paid to do. So if my voice starts to get a little wonky, I will shut this down and rest. But other than that, the idea is to read both chapter 1 and chapter 2. So if you're ready, I've already blessed this session before we started. Before I clicked live, I already did the prayer, so we're good to go. Beauty, love, and light throughout. Hippie people, star people. I should also tell you that one of the things that happened in this book is that I created a language called Tu Astai, which essentially means tongue of stars. And so you're going to get to hear some of that language in chapter 1, which is really kind of cool. There's not a whole lot. There was a whole lot, like book 2, there was a whole lot of the languages. And there were like 2, I think there were 2. There might have been 3, like glimpse of a third language in book 2. But book 3 is really not focused on that. So there's just a little bit in the beginning. And hi, Wayne. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to Star People Storytime. Okay, so we're gonna start, and I just need you to just to bear with me in this. There are gonna be some. If you haven't read book 1 or book 2, and I've been trying to deal with this a little bit. It's like a lot of people are coming into this because I'm reading book 3, and a lot of people don't know like the history about book 1 and book 2. But the cool thing is the way that this is written. You'll be able to pick it up quickly. There's some things that are related to things that happened prior, but most of this is you'll be able to get it. And so now that we're past the prologue and getting into book 1, you'll be fine. I believe in you. Okay, so chapter 1. It's called The Return. Home is a place we must find, child. It's not just a place where you eat or sleep. Home is knowing. Knowing your mind, knowing your heart, knowing your courage. If we know ourselves, we're always home, anywhere. Glinda the Good said that. I put quotes on the top of, you'll see. Kai's biological grandparents, Orin and Galaxenia of Tustai, were standing next to one another looking glorious in their gleamingly ornate Aphrodisian-style robes. The shells and jewels from the sweet living waters that adorned their robes made little pops of light flicker like teeny fireworks all over the glistening walls of the great Aphrodisian hall. Those who were leaving stood in a line, shoulder to shoulder, like a people pack of crayons with wings. This was their send-off. Kai supposed the occasion was designed to be cheery. It didn't feel cheery, but she was going home. She, her daughter Kaitu, her new husband Jasperi, her aunt Lara, cousin Darren, half-brother Carlos, and the other volunteers were standing together in a vibrant line of brilliant robes and multicolored wings, waiting for their blessing, before they walked through the gigantic light waterfall called Omnifall in the center of the great hall. Opa and Jima, as Kai affectionately called her grandparents, were walking slowly down the line, kissing the cheeks of each of the beings waiting to go through the fall. Omnifall was essentially like a waterfall, except instead of water, silver, gold, and blue light flowed from a giant hole in the floor of the great hall, upward through a giant hole in the center of the golden dome of the hall's pinnacle. It is said that Omnifall is connected directly to source energy, which the Stai call the seat of light. It was both breathtaking and a sore memory for Kai. In no time at all, she and her family would walk through the lightfall, which was also a mystical portal to the earth plane. They would, even more mystically, be delivered through to an ancient red door in Lara's office, which happened to exist in an ancient building that Lara both owned and ran her practice. Kai and magical doors had a lot of history. It added to her sadness and the feeling that how she felt about leaving didn't match the cheeriness of their outfits. It dawned on her, and she supposed to them too, that some of them may never return. The Stai may seemingly live forever in Tustai, but Stai rules don't apply the same on Earth. Earth was now the bastion of darkness, or would be. That was the rumor. Her father would pull out all the stops to keep the troop from completing their mission. He had already solicited the dozen of Durg to wield eons of psychic trash as fatal weapons of mass distraction for the people of Earth. There was no way to know what else awaited them when they arrived on the Earth plane. Kai imagined fire and brimstone. Weren't they going to face the end of the world? She rubbed her belly. Yes, you are, Kai, boo-boo. She rubbed her belly. The rainbow lights that pulsed just beneath her gold robes were only a minor comfort. The last thing in the Omniverse that she wanted to do was to bring her unborn children into the belly of a spiritual war. She hadn't thought it all through. Jasperi was sure enough for both of them at the time, and so she just went with it. But now, as her back faced the light waterfall / portal that would take them all to an unknown destiny, she was scared. And for good reason. The Earth was a mess. She looked over at Kaitu. Opa and Jima kissed her not-so-little cheeks, telling her how much they would miss her and to keep everyone safe. Kai cringed at the thought of how much pressure telling a 7-year-old girl to keep everyone safe was. Meanwhile, Kaitu wasn't just a little girl. She was as vital to the Earth mission as anyone else in line waiting for cheek kisses. That didn't negate how responsible Kai felt about everything. The unknowns she faced made her heart want to fall out through her toes. Jasperai reached over and clasped Kai's hand as his way of telling her that she was not alone. She breathed in deeply and watched silently as he got his cheeks kissed from her grandparents. By the time Opa and Jima got to her, she was trembling. Osharu Mayarahu Nora Osho, Galexama said to her, sounding extraordinarily like her mother. Fear lights a man's way to darkness, Kai said softly with her eyes closed. Galexama's voice was still ringing throughout the vast openness of the great Aphrodisian hall. By the time its last reverberation reached Kai's ears again, something in her shifted. She was still scared. She could still feel the trembling throughout her body, and it still hurt. But she recognized her fear wasn't what she believed it to be. She recognized a few things were in play. First, this was the first time ever in her life she felt like she was with her true tribe, her true family. The short time she spent with them, she grew so much and became so much more of herself than she ever thought possible. Now, she was leaving them in her true home, the most gorgeous place she had never known existed. She would have rather eaten glass than leave the comfort she had right where she was. The changes came too quickly and she wasn't ready. Not yet. Jima put her gentle fingers on Kai's chin. Kai opened her eyes. Jima smiled so pleasantly, Kai couldn't help but smile back with the tears she had been holding hostage, finally finding their way to her cheeks. Jima smiled her pleasant smile as she spoke, not only to Kai, but to all of them, as though she were praying. Osho, Lovianhal ba Asharu Mayarahu Nora Osho. Osho, Namaru Yamarahe, Yasura Yamara ba Osho Lovian Osho, she said, her voice loud and powerful enough to fill the entire hall. She let her words continue to ring through the hall as they stood, awestruck. Just before the silence got awkward, Opa stepped forward. Light the love in all, because fear lights a man's way to darkness. Light covers. Stillness rises peace. Stillness settles because light brings love to light, he said, translating Jiman's words. This is your creation story. This is your true destiny. It is who you are. You are Stai. Star People, this is your true home. Though you will be away, home is always within you. Even if you are separated, you are the sum of every one of your ancestors. You are not alone. You stand with 10,000 and 10,000 and 10,000 and 10,000 before you, behind you, and on either side. This is the nature of the Stai. As you go forth, remember love is all, and you are love's messenger. You are doing the omniverse a great service, and we are honored that our people shall help the earth plane evolve its legacy. Go now and do your greatest work. We all look forward to your return. Opa said all of this with a power and fervor Kai had never heard of him. He looked at Kai specifically, but he was addressing the others also. You will return. Stai always return home, he said. Lovianhal. His last word rang throughout the great hall, bouncing off every golden brick like notes in a song. It became the soundtrack in all of their hearts. It was then that Opa closed his hand into a fist. He tapped his fist to his chest with his fingers facing his heart, and then tapped his fist to Kai's heart. His fist sprung open into a flat palm against her heart, and then he lifted his open palm upward to the sky, where it filled with a gorgeous bright blue light that overflowed his palm like water. He placed his palm to his heart, where the light turned gold as it filled his body. He then placed his fingers to his mouth, then to his third eye, and finished the bow to his granddaughter with his empty palm in the air. That was their bow. It was a traditional Om Omni Shakai bow with an Opa twist. Kai couldn't contain her tears. She reached out to Opa and hugged him as tightly as she could. He wrapped his arms tightly around her, and they both cried. Jima stepped closer to join their hug. Kaitu, Jasperai, Lara, Darren, Carlos, and the dozen or so others in the room reached in and enjoyed their final group hug before they were to step into the unknown. When they finally peeled themselves away and found themselves in their travel formation, Kai looked at Opa one last time before she closed her eyes. "Lovianhal," she said with a nod. She could only barely hear Laura's voice as she spoke the incantation that would take them back to the earth plane. Kai was translating Laura's words in her head in an attempt to make them make sense with all the swirls of color flying around her mind's eye as they walked through the great light waterfall. "Amni Osho, Amni Osho," Laura's voice sounded like loud whispers in her ear. "I am light. We are light." Kai was trying to remember before she forgot. "Siam, Lovian Osho, Amni Osho, Lovianhal ba Osharu, Mayarahu Nora Osho." We are this light. We share this light. We light the love in all because fear lights a man's way to darkness. In case when she got back through that red door in Laura's office, she was back to square one again and lost it all again. Osho Namaru. Light covers, just in case none of what she had experienced was real. It may not be real. It wasn't real before. Maybe she was dreaming again. Osho Namaru Yamarai Yasura Yamara Ba Osho Lovian Osho. Stillness rises, peace, stillness settles because light brings love to light. That was her biggest fear. Not that she had a mission to return to. Amni Osho. We are this light. But that she didn't. Her relief walking through that door into the familiarity of Lara's office, hand in hand with her husband and daughter, was not something she could hide. She didn't even bother to find her bearings or to cover her eyes from the bright light that greeted them. She smiled the broadest smile she had. She even giggled. Jasperai looked at her and smiled, feeling her joy too. It was this elation that made Kai believe she was in a slow-motion superhero movie sequence. There was even some gratuitous wind for her hair. She breathed. It felt like it took her longer to take in her breath, but she didn't care. She was awake and she was alive. Teary-eyed, she followed the lines of all the people she was standing with. She pinched herself just to make sure she wasn't dreaming. She wasn't dreaming. They were all still there. It was all real. She was going to be all right. Finally. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 1. And I'm kind of feeling good, so we're going to hostage cheers. Hi. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Raquel. Hi, Imani. Thank you for joining. Okay, so we're going to do chapter 2 because it's also kind of a short one. And I'm in the mood to read, so let's go. Chapter 2, Adjustments. When the fabric of society is so rigid that it cannot change quickly enough, adjustments are achieved by social unrest and revolutions. John Boyd Orr. First things first, Lara said. Her voice didn't sound slow, but Kai didn't register that Lara was talking until after she was finished looking at her, how slow her arms moved as she raised them up and down. She did this 3 times, but it felt like a dozen. Afterwards, she felt unbelievably tired and jittery. She was excited. Her head turned slowly to meet Jasperai's gaze, but he didn't look excited. He looked amorous. He was staring at Kai like she was the most glorious being he had ever seen. She winked at him slowly. He tried to return the sentiment, but as he did, the room felt like it had gotten unstuck from the blender it had originally gotten stuck in, spinning them as it gained momentum. Kai was looking for something to hold on to, but all she could find that was rock solid and nearby was her husband. She pulled Kai-Tu into her arms and leaned in toward Jasperai. Just as suddenly, an intense ringing made its way through the intense spinning. It wasn't coming from anywhere specific, but it was loud enough that it made them all cover their ears, to no avail. Finally, after several moments, everything settled. The room no longer felt like it was spinning, and the ringing had stopped. They also didn't feel like they were trying to exist in mud. "What in the hell was that?" Kai asked, straightening her shoulders. "Adjustments," Lara said. "Adjustments of what?" Kai said with a like hell expression on her face. Her arms were folded. "Ourselves to this dimension. You and Mrs. Kim walked through and came back from that exact door and then went through again with all of us, and that didn't happen before. What's different?" "Everything," Lara said, matter of fact. "First, we came back with more bodies, which is a significant adjustment because that means there are a dozen more higher vibrational beings now that weren't here before. Our mere presence raises the vibration of the earth plane, and so a shift must happen with us to make sense to the earth's slower vibration and to the earth plane. And to the earth plane to make sense of our higher vibration. If our intention is to be seen by actual earth people, some adjustments were necessary. Also, you and Kai-Tu are not the same beings you were when you left here. You're far less dense, too, while also pregnant with beings that are not necessarily designed for this realm. Also factor in that everything changes at every moment. Every decision that we make has a consequence for every other thing. Our being here at this exact moment has a consequence, and its effects and affects everything, and it affects and effects and affects everything else," Lara said. "So you're essentially saying that the earth just made room for us?" "Yes, but most importantly, the earth just made a way for us. Many, many changes will take place while we're here, Kai. Most of them will start with you." The 20 or so beings in the room, most of whom Kai didn't really know, all looked at her pointedly. Kai didn't actually know what to say, so she hoped Lara had something else to add, so the focus of the room would redirect away from her specifically. Before Lara said anything, the eyes that were on Kai shifted their attention back to Lara, as though anticipating she was going to speak again. Kai exhaled. "Your pregnancy is not just an event that will change you. It will change the planet on its own, even without the Magnanite tree in the equation, which, of course, is also vital to the success of our mission." The many eyes in the room focused themselves on Kai again, but this time she felt stupid, because she had zero idea what Lara was talking about. She still didn't say anything. Lara kept talking. "The necessities required in a styi pregnancy are non-negotiables. You need the purest food and water, preferably with a lot of light and love infused in it." Kai spit out her laugh in such a way that it sounded like a gag or a sneeze. "Richest blessings," Jasper said. Kai nodded while she kept her mouth covered with her hand. "Thank you," she said to Jasper from under her hand. When she removed her hand from her mouth, she looked either horrified or amused. "Lara, I'm going to assume you'll cover this at some point, because I know you're aware that even the freshest, wholest food and water on this planet is somewhat polluted, mostly because everything on this planet is somewhat polluted," she said in all seriousness. Jasper gasped in such horror that it too sounded like a sneeze. "Bless you," Kai said. Jasper was looking around in the air, searching for things he couldn't see floating around in it. He then moved his attention to his exposed skin that wasn't covered by his black kosai, as though something might be crawling on him. Most of the Sai newcomers were doing the same. Lara gave Kai a deep frown, as though Kai had just told the secret nobody was supposed to tell. Kai shrugged. "Did you have a question, Kai?" Lara asked, somewhat annoyed, but also like she was leading Kai to help her make her next and far more important point. "Yeah. So, knowing the earth is generally gross, what am I supposed to eat? If I can't eat the freshest, purest food and water?" The room was nodding along as though they wanted to know too. You will evolve what you have to get what you need," Lara said in such a plain tone that Kai actually wanted to jump forward and slap her. Was this supposed to be the Lara riddle hour? Kai was not amused. Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense either. Who has the power to evolve the planet? My mother, maybe, but she's already doing what she can for this planet, and we'll assume cleaning the food and healing the water isn't on the agenda because she would have done it already. Do you think for 1 second you would not be given the tools needed to perform any and every task required for your journey? Lara looked infinitely taller to Kai for some reason. Maybe it was because Lara still, and would probably always, know more than she did. And not because she was older. It was because she was Styi and had 4 doctorate degrees. Kai was counting them all in her head. Dr. Lara Masterson, PhD in quantum physics and psychology. Also, Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine and regular old Western medicine. Lara was literally 4 doctors rolled into one badass Styi woman. It was intimidating. Yeah, sure, Kai said, slumping. But of my talents, I didn't collect a Styi water purifier, nor a magic garden hoe, nor a plot of land to grow all this non-polluted food. I guess whoever set this whole thing up didn't think this through. She shrugged again. Lara didn't laugh, but Kai could tell she wanted to. Without saying a word, she walked toward a tiny side door just to the left of where they all were standing. Kai hadn't noticed the door there before. Lara opened the door and stepped through. A glass clinked, a faucet turned on, and the sound of water filling a glass. The faucet was turned off, and a moment later, Lara returned with a glass of water. She was holding the glass funny, like she was holding nuclear waste. The Styi in the room gasped, but Kai wasn't sure what they were gasping at. Kai wasn't sure if they were gasping at the ease in which Lara filled a glass with running water, or if to them they were actually looking at a glass of toxic waste. Lara put the glass to her ear and shook her head. And then she stepped forward and put the glass to Kai's ear. The Styi gasped again. After only the second time, it was already annoying. What do you hear? Lara asked. Nothing, Kai said blandly. She was sure Lara had bumped her head at some point in their journey back. I know, isn't that dull? Remember what Styi water sounds like? Lara asked cheerfully. I don't know, Kai said aloud quickly. What a stupid line of questioning. What would water sound like anyway? Cherubs singing? She thought. Lara gave Kai a look, and so Kai pretended like she was thinking for a long while. Without even actually trying, her mind wandered to the sweet waters that made up the ocean she and Jasper I swam in just a day ago. She remembered the water tasted sweet, but she couldn't gather if it had a specific sound. Everything was a jumble. She shrugged automatically. Give me your hand, Lara said, while handing Kai the glass to hold. Kai took the glass somewhat reluctantly, if only because everyone else in the room was so disgusted by it. It looked like regular water. But what did she know? She had only been around, drank, and bathed in earth water her whole life. But something was different. Just holding the glass of water in her hands made her feel uneasy. Her hand began shaking, and she felt an immeasurable sense of ickiness. Drink it, Lara said gently. As hard as she tried, Kai couldn't make her hand move toward her face. Everything in her spirit said, oh, hell no! But Kai was diligent. What could have possibly changed within her in a matter of a few weeks that would make her repel something as slight as water? She closed her eyes and relaxed. A few moments later, without giving herself the option to protest, she felt the glass at her lips and she tried to take a big sip. The tiniest drop of water made it to her tongue and she spit it out quickly. She handed the glass back to Lara as expediently as she could while trying desperately to use her robes to wipe out her mouth. That good? Lara asked as the room laughed with her. I've got to hand it to you, Kai. Your will is as strong as nails. You shouldn't have been able to put even a drop to your lips. You succeeded. Well done, I guess. Kai glared. If I can't even drink plain old water, what am I supposed to drink or eat? I gather I'll have the same response to earth food, she said, agitated. She wasn't thirsty or hungry before, but now that she faced the possibility of dying of thirst and hunger, she was both thirsty and hungry. Lara lifted the glass to Kai's face, which caused her to cringe instinctively. Without flinching, she said, "Fix it." Kai glared harder. First at Lara, then the glass. "I can't," she said. "You can," Lara said. "You will." She didn't sound forceful at all. She wasn't exactly telling Kai what to do. Her tone was more like she was offering her a nice cookie she decidedly didn't want to eat. "How?" "Ask inside," Lara said even more gently. Kai sighed loudly and looked at Jasperai, who had a subtle smile on his face like he knew what was coming. She wanted to roll her eyes, but she turned instead to the glass of water that made her want to throw up when she faced it. A moment before, the water looked regular to her, and a second later it looked thick, sick brown with traces of unnatural glowing floaties she didn't dare name. "Ugh," she said to herself audibly. "People drink that? Every second of every single day. Sometimes they drink worse variations of Earth's precious elixir. But you'll fix it," Lara said assuredly. "What did you and Darren drink before? You've been here a really long time. I know you've never drunk that as is." "We managed. You're stalling. Fix it," Lara said. Kai closed her eyes as a form of protest because she was tired of looking at the gross water. And she was thinking about the millions of times she was willing to put a similar glass of it to her mouth only to drink it like it was refreshing something. What she had actually been doing was polluting Kaitu and herself. That was the reason for the sick feeling bubbling in her stomach. She hadn't known any better. It explained a lot. She had no idea what she was supposed to do. She had no idea what she was supposed to do about it, so she did what Lara said. She asked herself. I'm sorry, wait, give me a second. A line changed. Oh, here we go. Read the line again. She had no idea what she was supposed to do about it, so she did what Lara said. She asked herself, "What must I do to fix the water?" She breathed in and out a few times and wasn't at all surprised when no answer came. But then there was a rumbling or something that came from deep within her. It was subtle at first, like butterflies in her stomach. The feeling grew until she felt a lightness, not only throughout her whole body, but most specifically, her hands. She was expecting light to start pouring out of her forehead, but when she opened her eyes, she saw the familiar pink-orange light settle through wide spaces in the center of her palms. She was curious if her palms had acquired stars in the center of them like her forehead did, but the light was bright enough that she couldn't tell. Lara held the glass up for her, but it was too close, so Kai took a step back so she was at arm's reach of the glass. She didn't do much after that. She raised her palms to face the water, and a second later, she put her palms down. The glass of water was no longer murky. In fact, it was so clean and clear, it sparkled like the glass was filled with liquid diamonds. Lara put the glass up to her ear, but she didn't need to. Everyone in the room could clearly hear the water was singing to them. It sounded like wind chimes, or better, cherubs singing with harps. Kai felt lighter. She took the glass from Lara's hand and drank its contents down. It tasted like love was pouring through her and like light was filling her up. She smiled. "Can I fix the rest of it?" she asked. "We are counting on it," Lara said, smiling. Kai's palms filled with pink orange light as she walked dramatically toward the bathroom to lay her hands on the pipes. By the time she was done, the entire building sounded like a harp and cherub festival. Good, Lara said with a gigantic smile. The only thing left to fix is the food. So that's chapter 2. Yay! How you feeling? You feeling good? You ever did a book club on Facebook Live? I know you haven't. So that is going to do it for today's episode of Star People Storytime. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time at 11:11 to read chapter 3. Only one chapter tomorrow because chapter 3 is a long chapter. So we'll read chapter 3 tomorrow. We'll find out if Kai fixes the food. Okay, if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask them before I sign off. Any questions? Star people out there, any questions? I know there's a delay, so I'm just gonna do my weirdo dance and drink some tea while you figure out if you have questions. If you have questions about some of the stuff, you might have questions. They're in book 1. They're in book 1 or book 2. It doesn't mean I won't answer. Oh, you like my cup? See, it has all 3 books of the Stellar Trilogy on it. Isn't that cool? My friend made this for me. This is me on good day. This is Darth Vader holding my book. This is my henna that one time at band camp. This is me looking like a superhero. Okay, so no questions. Good. Well, not good. It's better when you have questions because we have dialogue, but you'll get there. By the time we get to chapter 10, I think... Oh, who wrote it? Oh, hi, Wayne. I wrote it. That's my book, Wayne. You didn't know that? I'm reading from the Stellar Trilogy. That's my book. It's book 3. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so if that's the only question, thank you, Wayne. You're a genius because you asked a question. I got my first question. So tomorrow, same time, 11:11 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Standard Time, we will read chapter 3 and we'll find out if Kai fixes the food. Maybe. Sort of. Okay? So until then, I'll see you tomorrow at 11:11 a.m. for Stop, Drop, and Meditate. Yeah, bookends. We get you in the morning and we get you before bed. I'm excited. Okay, love you. Osha Lovianhal, friends. Peace out. Star people. Bye.